Good morning. Happy Sunday. What a beautiful day. It's almost winter here, which is so lovely. The weather is amazing. I'm wearing jumpers around the house. And when you live in a place that's extremely hot, it's really nice to feel cold every now and again. So let me know where you're tuning in from, and let's get on with today's topic. Now, I want to remind you that if you've not been here before on Sundays is when I like to talk about that horrible thing called emotions. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's the thing that governs our life. It is the thing that makes us do or not do what we need to do in life. And yet we all avoid it like the plague. So Sundays, I kind of want to make a situation where we are delving into that in a really light-hearted way, because that's the thing that I'm so passionate about, that if we don't work on that, nothing else comes into play. Nothing else comes together the way you want it to. So yeah, that's our Sunday. So literally the topics I talk about on Sundays, mostly, not always, but mostly, could be applied to anything in your life. It could be applied to your diet. It could be applied to any disease. It could be applied to a goal. All right. So just keep that in mind, and let me know if it resonates with you. So I'm going to keep doing these on Sundays. I'm 25 episodes in or something. So whatever it is, 24. And I'm going to keep going, because even if it just hits for one person out there each Sunday, yay, my work here is done. So let's talk about why we get stuck. Let's talk about getting stuck in a goal, a disease, healing, a relationship, all of that. It's all the same. When you're stuck, it's a very real thing. And you're stuck because the fear of moving forward is greater than the fear of staying where you are. Now, the reason this happens is because our amygdala, our ancient brain, which is the back of our head, finds it safe there. Okay, anything that's the same is safe for our amygdala. And so that's the very real thing physiologically that's going on in our body, in our brain. So I've talked about this before. Our brain makes neural pathways dependent on things that we do all the time. It's dependent on belief systems that we've held for a long time. It's dependent on physical habits like brushing our teeth, that sort of thing. We have very strong neural pathways in our brain that reminds us that, oh, okay, this is what we do. This is safe. This is normal. This is okay. So when we get stuck in wanting to do something better for our health, for our life, for our whatever, and I'm talking about us here. I'm not talking about for our children or for our husbands or whoever, because we do them. We'll do anything we can in our power to help them, not so much ourselves, but that's because it's ourself that is feeling the unsafeness or the uncomfortableness, I'm sure that's not a word, of doing something new. Okay, so doing something new in healing is, we get stuck in this planning. We get stuck in and this is, as I said, anything, health, goals, whatever. Planning is great. Planning is safe. Planning is easy because it's out there. It's something we haven't done yet. And most people love making a plan. I love making a good plan. I love writing a list. I love doing all the things. But it's when you have to actually implement that plan, and no plan is going to be perfect enough for you and for you to move forward. And so because it's uncomfortable, because we don't have a neural pathway for that plan yet. Okay, so until we get comfortable with that plan, we ain't doing anything. We're not going anywhere. So that's kind of physically, and that's why it's uncomfortable. to move past that planning stage. It's why we all get stuck in searching for a diagnosis, which is why I recommend, if you think you have lipedema, thyroid disease, whatever it is, or you need to do or have, then don't wait for a diagnosis. Start doing the lifestyle things that you can comfortably do, because that's the key, right? Once you start working on it, your neural pathway, you will form a new neural pathway for that thing. And then eventually that thing, it becomes uncomfortable to not do that thing. So that's why when you brush your teeth, if you always brush your teeth every morning and every night, some people don't, some people do it just every night, whatever your thing is. If you don't brush your teeth when you normally do, it's so uncomfortable all day. So you get to a point with your habits and the things that you put in place that your neural pathway is so strong for that particular thing that it's uncomfortable then to not do it. But to start with, it has to be uncomfortable to do it, because we don't have a pathway. Your brain literally has to form that pathway and join the dots so that we become comfortable with it. So, not having a diagnosis, that's safe. So while we're like, oh, we don't have a doctor in this town that can diagnose me, or I don't have access, or I can't afford it, or so not finding money, that keeps us safe, right? So not taking a risk, that's very safe. So not making new neural pathways, that's incredibly safe for our emotional amygdala, our ancient brain, right? So all these things that keep us stuck, it's just safety. It's our own brain, it's our own emotional self keeping us where it knows it's safe. And that's all it is. So it's stepping past. And I think for me, I like to go, oh, that discomfort of that thing that I haven't done before that I'm feeling right now, that's actually a physical reaction happening in my brain. And that's a good thing. So I think if we can get to this point where we go, oh, that discomfort, that's not like a warning sign or a gut intuition that, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. It's not going to work out. It's not. It's actually a good thing. It's your brain forming a new pathway physically in real time, and it feels uncomfortable. It feels horrible. So let's think about all the times that we've had this moment. Learning to drive. Oh, my Lord, right? And I re-experienced that when I went with our son on his first drive, and the terror in his eyes and because you don't know how to do it. So you don't have that neural pathway that now we can drive home from wherever and forget how we actually got home, because it's so hardwired into our brains now. So that's a perfect example of the terror at the beginning, that our body's just keeping it safe, but everything in our being is telling us, like, I remember that first drive home, it was the shortest drive for our son, and there was nobody around, but he was like, oh, I don't think I should be doing this. It doesn't feel right. Or he may have even said it doesn't feel safe, right? Because that's just how it is for us. Pay attention to the things that you very strongly feel like are not safe for you, because they're the things you need to first take the baby steps, take the uncomfortable steps for it to feel safe. So that's why we get stuck. We get stuck in our planning of eating a certain way, of moving forward with helping ourselves. Because by the time we've had something, say, let's talk about lipedema. So by the time we've had lipedema for a long time and we know that we've got that, that's a known thing. We have a pathway in our brain that goes A plus B equals C. We have got lipedema. That's why all these years we haven't been able to lose weight. That's why all these years, your legs have looked different to everybody else's. That's why all these years it feels like wet cement when you're walking, and the thought of exercise is just, no, I don't think so, right? We have that neural pathway of what we believe about ourselves. So to step forward and go, okay, I may not be able to afford liposuction, which is, supposedly the surgery that fixes it, unless you keep living the same lifestyle, then it will come back. Just a caveat there. But we need to get comfortable with the things that we need to do to stop it getting worse. Okay, that's like the starting step for everybody. What stops it getting worse? What diet do I need to change? Now, I have said this many times. I was the plant-based queen. The thought of eating a heavy meat-based diet that I do now was so uncomfortable. And I only did it at the time was because it was practical. But everything in my fiber, everything in my being was telling me, no, this can't be good for me. This is not right. This is wrong. It was uncomfortable. So you've got to find the things that are the easy step forward out of that planning. You can plan until you have got what you see as the perfect plan, but you wake up tomorrow, you'll see something else that needs to be added to that plan. That you can't, something else that needs to be figured out, which keeps you safe, stops you from moving forward with that plan. Okay, it's a very real thing, and I talk about it lightly, but this plays out with everything. It plays out. When I went to college at 40, extremely overweight, thyroid problems, sitting in that classroom for the first time, oh my God, with all these young 20-year-old yoga hippie, gorgeous. I know a lot of them now and they're gorgeous people. But at the time I was like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? It was so uncomfortable. And, I was, and twice the age of them all. Like, forget the fact that I was, morbidly obese and that, I couldn't do yoga. Forget that. Yeah. So the discomfort of that was horrendous, but the discomfort of not knowing what was wrong with me and why I couldn't change things, that had become worse than the comfort of staying in, or the discomfort of staying where I was. So I had to step out of that comfort zone and I had to get uncomfortable and go, no, I've got to do this. And I think that's what happens when you finally step out of your plan. It's because you get to a point where you feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over. And I think just suddenly one day you go, oh, for goodness sake, it's time to just try something. And that's what I encourage you to do. It doesn't have to be the big thing. It doesn't have to be, but I have to do this thing. It can literally be, you know what? I've been eating this particular way, and I don't care what kind of way you're eating. It doesn't matter. There's something different out there for everybody. There's a unique situation or solution for everybody. I do not believe for a second that everybody has to eat carnivore, everybody has to eat vegan, or everybody has to, whatever, X, Y, Z, fill in the blanks. There's something different. But unless you're willing to try something different to what you've always tried, you're not going to find out if that works for you. It's kind of like, I'm hoping one of the watchers is not my husband. If it is, hi. He shouldn't be. He's at work. However, here's an example. Pistachios, right? Pistachios, my favorite nut. His mother's favorite nut. And over the years, we've said, you've got to try pistachios. Amazing. No, I hate pistachios. Not trying pistachios. Somebody at work had pistachios. He sends me a picture saying, can we get some of these? And I'm just like, but the discomfort for him at work of not trying something with his workmates was more, right? There was no discomfort saying no to me or to his mother, but there was a discomfort at work. So that made him try something. And oh my God, they're like, we cannot not have pistachios in the house now. Okay. So sometimes it's really a good thing that we have peer pressure, things like that, that make us finally try something, because we don't know that that's not going to be the answer to our prayers or to our problems, that kind of thing. I did not know that eating a heavy meat-based diet was going to make me feel so good. I could have told you every reason under the sun why plants are the bee's knees for everybody. So I still have to work on that. That neural pathway is still not fully formed. I reckon it's still got little tendrils to hook in, because I constantly still have to watch, lectures and webinars and videos and things like this on why I need to keep eating this way. And that's what I do when something's uncomfortable and I'm like, no, but really, like this week, I went to the shops, and this week's going to be more of a keto week, because I wanted some avocado. I wanted some coriander. There was a persimmon. I bought a persimmon. Got some rocket. Okay. So this week's going to include some salads because I just really wanted them. You hear of people go, oh, I really miss salads, veggies. Usually I don't, but every now and again it creeps in. And so, sure, I'm doing it this week. But unless you try the opposite of what you've tried, you're not going to know what works for you. And that's why trying something, when you put something new into your world, so you try a new diet, you've got to give it a month, 2 months before you decide, is that for you or is that not for you? Because A, you've got to form that neural pathway that it's okay, that it's safe to eat this way. B, you're going to have to get past withdrawal symptoms from whatever you've been eating, even if it's healthy salads, that kind of thing. There's oxalate dumping. There's all kinds of things from even healthy foods. Okay, so you've got to give it the time for your body to adjust and go, oh, okay, how do I feel now? It's been 2 months. What kind of symptoms am I showing? What's changed in my body? And I always talk about taking inventory. You always must take inventory of your body before you start something. And then, 2 months down the track, when you're deciding, has this helped me or has this harmed me? Generally, changing a diet is not going to harm you unless you're suddenly eating something you're allergic to, in which case I'm going to figure it pretty quickly that you're allergic to that. Okay, so being stuck is literally, if you remind yourself that being stuck is literally being safe. Okay, what do we do when our kids are learning to walk? We don't keep them on the ground. We don't keep them stuck. We encourage them. We go, it's okay, you can try again. Oh, you fell down. Come on, you can try again. Okay, we do this with our kids, but we don't do it with ourselves. And it's a really interesting thing. And I think because we've had so many more experiences and traumas and things like that stored in our brain, that we just go, oh, no, we'll just stay where we are. What's that saying? Better the devil you know, right? So with any kind of chronic disease, you kind of got to get yourself out of, no, there could be a better thing out there for me. Let's just try it, which is, as I said, that's why I don't talk about, that's why I don't encourage you to hunt down that diagnosis. I was the same with thyroid disease. I've said this for many times. There are thousands of women that have commented on Thyroid School over the years saying, the doctor says I'm fine. I know I've got thyroid disease. If you know you've got thyroid disease, if you know you've got lipedema, don't stay stuck in that belief system that you have to have an official diagnosis. It's on your record. So any insurances, any things like that, it's going to cost more money. It's just going to be problematic. So to me, if it's something that's really obvious to you, really evident that you have it, don't stay stuck in, oh, but I need a diagnosis. If you want to get surgery done, if you can afford to have surgery done, sure, get a diagnosis. But don't stay stuck in not trying a different diet. Don't stay stuck in not trying a certain regime or compressions or a vibration plate or whatever it is. Okay, don't stay stuck there. You're going to have to go gently because it's painful. But remember, just form that habit, form that that thing that you want to change, whatever it is, and only do one at a time. All right. We don't want our brain to do everything all at once. A, we're not going to know what works for us if we do everything all at once. And B, there'd be too many neural pathways trying to form, and that would just be horrible. But a lot of people do it. A lot of people are those kinds that's like, all or nothing, like I'm just going to do it all. Most people tend not to stay with the thing at that point. But if you include those habits or those new things that you want to trial and you keep it going, it will become less uncomfortable. It will start to become comfortable, and it will start to then get to a point where it's uncomfortable if you don't do it. So that's where you want to kind of get to. I like to mix things up. I like to try new things all the time, and I try to get comfortable with that feeling of being uncomfortable because that's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. And for some reason now I'm like, I know the feeling. I've tuned into my body and I understand what that feeling is. And I can straight away go, oh, yep, okay, my brain's trying to work out how to form a pathway. Are we going to stick with this? Are we not going to stick with this? So if you do something for 2, 3, 4 days and then go, no, not for me. I felt sick. I, got a headache. This can't be good for me. Your brain's not going to have had time to form a new neural pathway on that. Now, here's the cool thing about our brain and our body. And I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again because we need to have this reinforced, right? You need to hear this kind of thing over and over and over again to have the neural pathway to go, oh, yeah, that's a thing. So it's everything we do in our life. So if we start doing, like for me, I went from eating plant-based to eating meat-based, right? I wouldn't say full carnivore, but dirty carnivore, ketovore, they call it. So I have got this neural pathway that says plant-based eating is the only answer. So I have formed this new neural pathway now that says, no, actually meat-based eating, animal-based diet actually is really good for me right now. And I say right now because our bodies change, our hormones change, we go through menopause, we go through pregnancies, we go through all the things. So we've got to be open-minded that what we need changes. That's why our bodies are so smart, because once we start eating a certain way and we don't need this other neural pathway that believes with every fiber of my being that plants is the way to go, my body goes, oh, she's not using this pathway anymore. All right, let's just break that down so that we can use those ingredients, building a different pathway, right? That's how freaking insanely amazing our body is. And that's why then when we're not using this pathway for a day because we skipped something, we didn't brush our teeth or whatever it was, it feels uncomfortable because your brain is used to using that pathway. It's literally a physiological response. So to get unstuck, we have to feel uncomfortable. It's horrible. And us humans, we like comfort. We love comfort. So it's really, really, it's going to have to be a purposeful thought that we need to get uncomfortable. Okay. Going to college, learning something new, stepping into that room with all those young, fit, gorgeous, the kinds I'm talking about. If you're one of them, you're beautiful, right? Stepping in there, as a size 26, over 100 kilos, that was so uncomfortable. But I needed to learn that information for me. So anything that you do that's new, it's going to be uncomfortable. You have to understand that, and you have to be, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable, and it's just the way it is, right? Some massages are very uncomfortable, but they make you feel better in the end, so many things. Having surgery on my arms, so uncomfortable, but wow, now I never think about my arms again. It's the most insane thing. Having said that neural pathway is still there, because the other day I was hanging something up on the washing line and I had this momentary flicker of a thought of, put your arms down. So, and it was only my husband standing there holding the washing thing for me, but I still had that moment of, yeah, your arms look terrible, put them down, right? So it's still there. And I had my arms done a year ago. So, and I still have moments, even though it's been, I'm coming up to 3 years this year since weight loss surgery and losing weight. You still have moments of, oh, no, that won't fit you. Oh, no, you won't fit on that chair, or whatever it is. So it takes a really long time to disintegrate that neural pathway. But you just have to keep reminding yourself there is actually nothing wrong with you. It's not fear. It's not anxiety. It is literally a physiological response that is happening in your brain, and that's amazing. Okay? So it's hard to do because as humans, we're very we like to look at the fears. We like to look at the reasons why we shouldn't do something rather than the reasons we should do something. That's normal for us, okay? Because we're based on, which is why I do these Sunday morning emotional ones. Everything's based on our emotions and our traumas and our memories and things that cause us stress. So that amygdala, that ancient brain, it's the thing that sees a stick on the ground and goes, that's a snake. Move. Right? It's why you jump when you see a stick. It's your ancient brain looking at all the things that it's remembered from its lifetime. And what do you have to do? You have to move quickly. And the response is so quick and so sudden that you haven't had a chance to even compute it. So those feelings of discomfort when you try something new, that's your amygdala going, oh, hang on, I've got nothing to compare this to. I've got nothing to weigh this up against. That can't be safe. Okay. So it's a real thing. And unless you keep reminding yourself that that's all that's happening, it's okay, I'm safe to do this, which is why you've got to do the inner work. Because that's the only thing that sort of calms it down and tells it that you are safe, right? But it's also why you eat protein first thing in the morning, because protein first thing in the morning makes your body feel safe. See how mind, body, and soul work together? There's not just one thing that makes us feel safe and makes us feel like we're able to step forward and get ourselves out of the unstuckness. There's your physical reason, a mental reason, and an emotional reason. And unless you add all three things together, you will stay stuck. Okay, I can guarantee you that. It's why I work, like, in case you don't know, I had somebody last week who didn't know, and I'm not really big on promoting how I work with people, but I literally work with people over 30 days because I address physical, mental, and emotional. It's the thing that's changed my world, working on all three things. And I guarantee you it's the thing that'll change your world and help you get unstuck, is working on yourself in those three ways. Okay. If you're not already doing some kind of inner work, you need to find something that stretches you, because it's going to be uncomfortable because you haven't done it before. How many people have said, oh, I sit down and I tried to meditate, but I just couldn't do it. The monkey mind, the chatter, and all that sort of thing. It's uncomfortable because your body's like, oh, I've not done this before. What the hell? Okay. You have to get past that discomfort, even with the inner work, which is why so many people don't do the inner work. Most people do not want to face their feelings. Most people do not want to face their fears, do not want to face the things that they potentially did wrong or could have done better. I'm a bit the opposite. I like to face my crap, and it's uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong. It's really uncomfortable, but I've done enough inner work now that I'm like, oh, okay, how did I do that? Why did I do that? And what is it teaching me? It's not about anybody else. It's always about you. Okay. There's a thing in human design. If you don't know human design, Google it. There's a thing in human design that tells you that nobody knows who you really are, because the minute your energy interacts with somebody else's energy, the minute you come into a room with somebody else, you now form a whole new energy. Sorry. And it's also said that your subconscious does not know anybody else, only knows you. So it's the same kind of thing. Nobody can truly know who you are, even though we all, cry out, why don't you just see me? Why don't you just know who I am? Nobody. Our subconscious only knows us and can only interact with other people based on our own memories, traumas, knowledge, learning, that kind of thing. So the inner work is about knowing who you are, where you've come from. I watched a lot of Deepak Chopra this week, and he's all about your purpose in this world is to literally know you. And I've talked about this for a really long time, and I didn't understand, even though I love Deepak Chopra, I didn't really dive into what his message was. But he's as much about the mind, body, soul as well. And I'm like, oh, that's why I've always been attracted to his teachings and things like that. It's because we need to incorporate those three things to get somewhere in life, or to get to the thing that we truly want. We may get the goals that don't mean much, that other people go, oh, wow, I wish I had that. But it's the inner thing that we don't say to people. It's like for me, I don't say this very much, and I've only just started talking about emotions here on this platform and only on Sunday mornings. I wish I could just talk about emotions, relationships, how we interact with it permanently. Right? That's the discomfort for me. How do I make that happen in my world? How do I make a living out of that? Right? So what's the thing for you that you keep deep inside that you wish you could say out loud? Do some inner work around that. And there's always a physical, mental, and emotional to everything. Okay. So there will be, even though for me, what would that look like if I could just talk about emotions and getting past stuff and different ideas of different modalities of what is inner work? There's a physical component of it. It's me actually getting online, doing and actually sitting down and trying the different modalities. There's the physical component. The mental component is me getting over the fact that there's just so much out there. The emotional is like, oh, are you going to judge me if I suddenly start a channel and just talking about this stuff, right? So there's three factors to everything that you do. A new diet, it's getting your head around it and eating in a way that's potentially very different to what you have normally done. It's mentally understanding why it's good for you, why you should be trying this, what it's got to do with your disease, how it could potentially change the physiology in your body. And emotionally, it's, are you going to be judged for suddenly eating carnivore when you've been plant-based promoting for the last 15 years? Right? So three aspects to everything you want to try, everything you want to change, and everything you want to do. It is going to be uncomfortable. There is just no way around that. It is going to be. But we need to learn to celebrate, oh, this is not comfortable, so this is a good thing. When people change things, as a naturopath over the years, I've said, how did you go with, changing whatever it was that I've asked them to change in their diet? And they'll say to me things like, oh no, nothing changed. Oh, I just lost my train of thought there. Why I was telling you that. Doesn't matter. It's okay. Any change is a good change. Right? So I don't know. That didn't work. I started getting headaches. When you change something, any change is a good change. Any result is a good result because something's moved. Okay. So you may, if you change your diet, you are likely to detox from whatever it was that you've been eating for the last however many years. And getting headaches, that's not a bad thing. That means your body's dumping all that stuff. So, and this comes across the board with everything you do. Any change is a good change. So feeling uncomfortable because you're trying out meditation, that doesn't mean it's bad for you. Okay. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I wanted people to understand that you're stuck because you're staying where it's safe. You're staying in the planning. There's never going to be a perfect plan. Okay. It's instead of it's a decision. Just make the decision. Okay. You're never going to feel like it's the right time. It's the right move. It's the right change. You're never going to feel that, right? To change something, you need to make that decision and let your brain form those new neural pathways for it to happen. That's it. That's me for today. I've got all these messages on my phone because I'm selling stuff on Marketplace, as I do. And let me know if there's something that you're going to feel or that you're going to try feeling the discomfort over, because that's the thing that's going to get you out of the stuckness. There's no way around it. Doesn't matter what it is we're talking about. Could be anything. Could be goals. Could be, relationships, diets, your disease. Doesn't matter. To get out of the stuckness, you got to be uncomfortable. Alrighty, that's it for me. Have a great week, and I will see you next Sunday morning. Bye.